Diplomatic efforts to resolve tensions between Ukraine and Russia are deteriorating.
The U.S. and NATO have formally rejected Russia's demands that NATO ban Ukraine and other former Soviet states from joining the alliance. The Kremlin says the response offers, quote, little ground for optimism. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken gave no concessions, but is offering Russia a diplomatic path forward. Top Russian officials say they will submit plans to President Vladimir Putin about the country's next steps.
More than 100,000 Russian troops are along the eastern Ukraine border for a potential invasion of the country. They have been conducting military drills that include firing ammunitions, flying warplanes, and routing dozens of warships into the region. More than 8,000 U.S. troops could be deployed to the Ukraine border if things get worse. For more on this, I want to bring in CBS foreign correspondent Holly Williams, who is in Kiev. Holly, some lawmakers are urging President Biden not to wait for Putin to make a move. They believe the administration should hit the Russian leader with sanctions now. Wouldn't that just be giving Putin the excuse he wants?
Well, actually, I think the logic is this. If you impose sanctions now, then you lose the whole deterrence aspect of the sanctions. Whereas at the moment, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has a choice. If you invade Ukraine, you'll be hit with these sanctions, which the US says are going to be severe, worse than they've imposed before. But if you don't invade, and if you move your roughly 100,000 troops back from Ukraine's border, then things may be better for you.
So, Holly, the U.S. and some allies are supplying Ukraine with weapons. We understand, though, that Germany has opted out from helping to arm the country. Why is that?
So Germany faces a dilemma. On the one hand, it's a member of NATO. It doesn't like Russian aggression at all. It doesn't like what's happening here in Ukraine. But on the other hand, its economy is really tightly woven together with Russia's. That's the case with quite a few European countries, but Germany is an extreme case. They're big trading partners, but more importantly, Germany is highly dependent on Russia for its energy needs. And in fact, it could become even more dependent on that. There's a new pipeline that's been built, Nord Stream 2, between Russia and Germany. Germany is already the world's biggest supplier of natural gas. The US has said that if Russia invades, that pipeline simply won't be turned on. And in fact, Germany has been pretty harshly criticized for getting itself into this situation, being so dependent on Russia, where Russia can potentially weaponize the supply of gas. So seemingly that is why Germany is reluctant to send arms to Ukraine. However, it has offered other things, including 5,000 helmets for Ukrainian soldiers. The reaction from the mayor of Kyiv to that, Vitaly Klitschko, in the German media was to say, quote, what kind of support will they send next? Pillows. So it's not going down very well here in Ukraine.
Holly, as you know, Russia plans to send a response to the U.S. soon. How do you think the Kremlin will move forward?
Well, the U.S. sent that written response to Russia's security demands. We don't know what was in the written response, but we know from America's public statements and NATO's public statements that they won't give in to some of Russia's key demands, including rolling back NATO forces from Eastern Europe and a ban on Ukraine joining NATO. So, it's sort of difficult to see where diplomatically the two sides go from here. Their positions are so entrenched. But when you look at the broader canvas, President Vladimir Putin has a bunch of choices. He could invade Ukraine. He could launch a smaller invasion of Ukraine or a cyber attack. Or he could just keep those roughly 100,000 troops sitting on the border, maybe add to them, maybe move more hardware in there, keep on ratcheting up the tensions in a way that would be a kind of classic Cold War game of brinkmanship. And then the question is, who blinks first?
Holly Williams, thank you.